Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Lost in Translation show, where we explore yesterday to help mankind understand what's happening in the world today. My name's Simone, and I'll be your host. Thank you for joining us today on this beautiful summer day. We'll be sharing the screen today with a lady named Katie from British Columbia, and she's going to be telling us about Universal Ostrich Farm. So before we get started, if you'd like to like, share, subscribe, or comment, it really helps us out. And if you'd like to donate to the channel, the information and support our work, the information is in the comments section below. So I'm just going to read a little bit about Katie and give her a little introduction, and then we'll bring on the interview here. So, Universal Ostrich Farm is located in British Columbia, Canada. They've spent years at the forefront of innovative animal science. They're known for their humane, ethical, and sustainable farming practices. The farm has also become a global leader in the production of natural polyclonal antibodies derived from the ostrich eggs, and they're offering a powerful and untapped solution to both animal and human health crises. For over the last 4 years, her farm has collaborated with research to develop immune-boosting antibodies and hold promise in combating infections, potentially replacing or complementing antibiotics and vaccines. These discoveries are especially crucial as the world faces mounting threats from zoonotic diseases, antibiotic resistance, and pandemics. However, their farm's groundbreaking work has been threatened by outdated and destructive policies opposed by the Canadian Food Inspection Agency, and that's CFIA. In response to a suspected case of avian influenza, without proper testing, scientific transparency, or collaboration, the CFIA has attempted to forcibly cull hundreds of healthy ostriches, undermining not just the Canadian farm, but the global scientific opportunity that these ostriches represent. The stamping out policy, meant to contain outbreaks, fails to account for natural immunity, evolving science, or the potential of farms like Universal Ostrich to be part of the solution rather than the problem. The rigid approach risks not only animal welfare and food security, but also breakthroughs that could revolutionize medicine. Universal Ostrich Farm stands firm, fighting not only for our animals, but for the future of science, compassion in agriculture, and international collaboration in public health. Their story is one of resistance, resilience, and vision for a better way forward. Welcome, Katie.
Hi, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. It looks like it's a beautiful morning there on the Ostrich Farm in British Columbia.
Yeah, it is. It is another beautiful day with ostriches that have been healthy for 156 days since we've had the virus, since we had something come through our farm.
How long does the ostrich usually live? What could their life expectancy be?
About 60 to 70 years.
Oh, really? 60 to
Yeah.
70. So they have the life expectancy of a human.
Yeah, and they actually, our oldest ostrich here is 35 years old.
Wow. And
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
can you tell us a little bit about the ostrich? I know like llamas are always accused of spitting, but I had llamas. They hardly ever
Yeah.
spit. Is there any misconceptions about ostriches that you might
Oh, we have.
want to
Yeah. Our ostriches are they have been in the family for de generation or decades. I've grown up with them. They've grown up with me. It's been our family has been involved for 30 years, over 30 years. And just loving these animals. They have personalities. They act funny and they're quirky. They run really fast. They act like bratty teenagers when they're teenagers.
tell?
And they have most of them have names. They're very yeah, so and they offer a lot of healing to the world. There's just something unique about them being one of the last of the prehistoric animals. The latest Struthio fossil I think was found 20 million or more years ago. So they're a really prehistoric and cool animal to have around.
Now, do they mate for life or do they have families? What's their situation?
Yeah, no, they don't. But they do end up with a partner. Yes, but they're in a big, when they're in a big colony kind of a situation, which they are here. So there's a lot of them together, then they tend to have multiple. Yeah, but yeah,
Okay,
it
I
is
was just wondering about their
yeah,
personalities because people don't
yeah.
really know much about ostriches.
No.
It's not very common to ever have a conversation about it.
I know. And I think that's what's led us here, which is a fantastic thing about them that they brought to the table was by their unique ability to create a discussion around such a big topic because they are such a unique animal.
Now, it sounds like you have a farm, but are you scientifically, are you have a lab there? What are you doing? Is someone else doing the work from your ostriches? And are you a technical person or a farmer? Can you tell us a little bit about you personally?
Yeah, so I'm the oldest daughter of my mother and father, and we've been involved in ostriches for over 30 years, hatching, incubating, raising them, creating industry. First of all, it started with meat. And the meat products and very healthy red meat, trying to create a market in that. The oil is very, very therapeutic for burn victims and scar tissue for rosacea and acne. Um, but what led us down this road was during when COVID-19 happened and all the processing plants and everything shut down and it kind of opened up a new door to new research. And we went down the road of trying to develop antibodies after finding Dr. Tsukamoto out of Japan. And we don't have a lab here, so we work with the Dr. Tsukamoto out of Kyoto, Japan, out of the Prefectural University, and his work that he's been well established in over years and years. He's actually known as Dr. Ostrich in Kyoto, Japan. And he holds 36 plus worldwide patents in which that he has shared his technology, his research, and developed a really great and strong relationship here with our family and seeing how our animals are cared for. And we walk amongst the animals. They're hands-on every day. They're loved very much. And so the COVID-19 time really opened up some beautiful doors to explore the antibodies because then there is no you just need to use the eggs. So we just use the eggs for the antibodies, just like chicken antibodies. And there is so much benefit to those antibodies. They're robust, strong. They offer so much opportunity to stabilize viruses like what we're dealing with right now with the H5N1 crisis, but all naturally. So that's the biggest part of that.
And when COVID hit, was that when you started having trouble with the government, or was it before, or just because you made these announcements kind of during that time and you were giving an alternative possibly?
That's right. We started looking at it backwards when everything happened here, when we've been put under quarantine and go, you know what? It was around the time when we really started to reach out to the Canadian government with the successes we were having with our lab results and our testing with our antibodies, reached out to the Canadian government for funding, looking for help, and brought our science forward and said, look at what we can do. We actually have scientific data and proof that we can help neutralize the COVID variants. And it was not shortly after that we actually went through, first of all, we had fires all around our farm, and they tried to do an evacuation order on our farm, but we just said no, we're staying. We stayed through the fires, and then now we're dealing with an anonymous that we had avian influenza and we're sitting out and hunkering down a cull order on our animals, trying to push back.
Did I hear something about them using drones on your farm, or is that a
They
different?
did, yeah. We've that kind of escalated more in the last couple months, if you can believe it. We've been sitting here 6 months, fighting this, and we have 155 day healthy animals from when we did have something on the farm. Um, and have been resisting and not allowing us to test our animals. So that the testing, we've been asking just to test them. And they're threatening us 6 months in jail and a $200,000 fine if we test our own animals to prove to the world that they're healthy. That is all that resistance and everything has led up to, yes, we've had drones because the longer this fight has gone with Canadian Food Inspection Agency, we've had drones flying over the property. We had an incident where one of our big, beautiful 12-year-old hens got shot in the middle of the night and she was killed. Then there was one night, and it was coincidentally when we did have a drone flying over top of our farm. It was a very, very large drone, and there was a big, beautiful rooster out in the field that ended up an entry wound near his ear. It sliced his neck open, and there was an exit wound. So, we don't know if that drone shot down from above. I mean, we don't understand it. It's all speculation at this point, but we do have an active investigation that really isn't going anywhere. The RCMP is not really doing anything on it. Um, but yes, so we've had lots of drone activity on the farm, but that has been, I think, more present as longer and the longer that this fight has went on. But it's been quiet around here actually for about 2 weeks, 3 weeks, which is a little bit, it's like an eerie feeling. Yeah.
Well, also you've had a change in your government that hasn't been well announced. So there's a possibility of change in the sentiment of your government officials who are obviously aware of the changes
I'm,
to be
yeah.
coming.
Yeah, I'm hearing that. I'm not gonna lie, I think sounds pretty exciting.
Yeah. So have
Yeah.
you also thought of addressing your issues through a common law court that are being convened all over Canada to bring forward the crimes of the Canadian go or all governments and
Yeah,
all
it's
politicians?
been brought up to us, but it's a steep learning curve. It's something we 6 months ago, all these terminology and all these terms were not even in our vocabulary. So, absolutely, it's been on our radar and we're researching into it. If there's any information that you have, Simone, I'd love you to hand it
I
over.
actually know the guy who's farming the common law
And
courts in Canada, so I
yeah,
would be happy to pass his information on to
that
you.
would be great.
And he's, of course, dealing with the human trafficking and the biggest problem in Canada, which is focused again on the First Nations tribes.
Yeah.
They're also being genocided. The Chinese camps have occupied northern Canada for the last several years, and the First Nations people still own 2% of Canada, and they're trying to get that under the power of the British Crown, which is really the Vatican. So there are literally, I don't know, you've got the Trail of Tears there in northern British Columbia, where they're finding all
Yes.
the organ harvested female Indians, and particularly pregnant ones where they're taking the baby from the womb because that's a big business. And the human trafficking and also the indigenous people, they're in ancient cultures, so they have different kinds of immune systems and things that the Europeans who came here later on don't have. So I think it's a
This is so it's another red pill, I always say, a red pill. I'm like, I've had my dose. I don't know, I don't know if I can, how many more I can take this in this year.
I know, I know. Well, once you open your eyes, and a lot of people say that doesn't these kind of things depress you? And I said, no, it doesn't, because I see people all over. I see people I tried to talk to, especially Canadians 5 years ago, calling me and saying, hey, could you send me that podcast? I try not to say like, I told you so or anything like that, because once people do open their minds, we have to be strong ourselves and we have to share the information gratefully that their eyes are finally opening and that
Yeah.
live in a mass period of deception where they're using. I just had a person who was a human trafficking and part of the MK Ultra mind control, and she's explaining how the military uses television, movies, and the radio to create the way we think, what we think is right, what we think is wrong, and it's actually part of a massive mind control campaigns that because the British the royal family of Europe were Nazis, and they funded the Nazis, and the Nazis are the ones that did these mind control programs that come and then are based in ancient Roman practices and Sumerian practices, but
Yeah.
most recently they're being brought forward by our Canadian and British leaders and American leaders too. So I feel like we have a window open, and the fact that you're able to come on and we're able to get this news, the internet's been a huge. They wanted to control us with the internet, but what's happening is the rest of us are fighting back, and we're getting our news out there.
Yeah. And it's been wonderful. That's the only reason why we're still here. I know that. 6 months later, after the initial anonymous call that went into CFIA, that they won't disclose who, and they said that they were sure we had avian influenza, and then they requested that they test two deceased birds. So they wouldn't test our live ones, they wouldn't test recovered ones. They wanted two deceased animals to run their PCR tests on, and they ran PCR tests which came back positive for H5N1. Um, going down that rabbit hole of the legal journey that we've been on, we've learned so much backdoor information. Like, the call order was already signed 41 minutes after the test results were in, and but they could only test for the H5 at the lab that they tested. They couldn't test for the N1. We were waiting. The accredited lab for testing H5N1 is in Winnipeg. So we shouldn't have had a signed call order until those results went to Winnipeg.
Do they
And
offer to reimburse you for any of your animals? Is there any compensation? I mean, if they did take away your livelihood and
yeah.
supposedly you've got a contaminated farm, according to them, is there any, do you guys have any redress?
There is a compensation structure, and sorry, there is a compensation structure, but it would not be adequate. So it's a $3,000 per an ostrich, which here with the development of the research and the years and the decades of the lineage that we have, would not even come close, as well as we have been told, because we're not in compliance of killing our own animals and getting discarding of them, that we will not see compensation. Yeah. So the compensation can become a very lucrative, situation for, say, if you were a commercial poultry facility and you have broiler chickens that you're raising, and by so many months they're already at full, they're ready to go. So if they're culling them early, then the compensation package can be pretty good. But we're seeing that the more animals that we're killing around the world, and especially here in Canada, we're losing our genetic diversity, we're losing natural immunity. I think that's the biggest player here, is what we're fighting for is, if we continue this stamping out policy on a global scale, we will have no more natural immunity. So we will be solely reliant on vaccination for survival, big pharma's pills, everything that they have to give us, because we will have no natural immunity. We will have no food, besides the food that they offer us. So whoever controls the food controls the people. I'm learning all of that.
Uh,
Yeah.
Look at Henry Kissinger. He loves to talk about starving people. If you go back to his speeches since the 1970s, he just has a big grin on his face when he's talking about cutting the food supply off. And I think that's really what's happening. Canadians are beginning to rise up and fight back. So they're also, I mean, they know that once Canadians know what's really going on, that they are going to push back and fight. Unfortunately, you still have a heavy thumb of the British Crown over you, where Canadians don't have a constitution. They have no rights. They live under a monarchy, under the rule of the king. So that's a big difference between how Americans fight back as how can Canadians fight back, because you don't have a constitutional government which
Yeah.
has a contract between the government and the people. And our politicians are trying to have amended our constitution many times, but ours still is somewhat in force. But Canada never had one. So they don't have any of the rights of redress that we could just have right over the border.
No, and that's what we have. Like, we've had RFK reach out on our situation,
Mhm.
offering collaboration with the Canadian government to save the farm, save the research. He addressed all the main points about avian influenza, about how it doesn't imminently stay in an animal, and how, that these animals are definitely healthy enough that we can still research them and use the research to better animal and human health. And that's been met with just resistance from the Canadian government again. Um, we're fighting back against an organization that is it has no accountability. They can do absolutely whatever they want. They can come on a person's farm based on suspicion of a disease and kill all of your animals. They have no accountability. They have no, yeah, they absolutely have all and end all power. And we are seeing now, we're having farmers and more farmers join us in this fight, of awareness that this has to be stopped.
Now, how long does an ostrich produce eggs? You said it has a 70-year lifespan. So if you've got ostrich eggs, 3,000, if you've got an animal that's producing, say, for 60 of those 70 years, $3,000 really isn't going to compensate you just for the eggs, is it?
No, no, it isn't. And they always say, so their biggest thing too is, okay, well, we'll kill them all and then you can repopulate. And it sounds just so easy, but this is what's the problem with all the farmers. I mean, you're losing your the lineage, like the animals that you've had them for generational bloodlines. We're losing the genetics, we're losing everything. Then we're not solving the problem, because once you put a new young animal back on the same grounds that the animals were just culled on, and they have weakened immune systems because they're young, and they're still exposed to the migratory birds, which are infected with avian influenza. So they're just more susceptible to getting the avian influenza or whatever is next, faster. And we're going down a really, really bad path that it'll be a point of no return if we don't stand up now and take the stance.
Well, do you think that they're genetically modifying the new animals they're offering you using mRNA technology that changes a lot of people don't realize that once you take an mRNA technology, your DNA is changed forever. So do you think that could be one of the reasons they're saying, oh, get new birds, but they probably wouldn't let you get the new birds anyway, but because they have their own modified versions that may not offer the same things in the eggs. If they can change the bird's DNA, then they
Yeah.
can change the effectiveness of what the eggs are offering for your Japanese lab. But does that make
A-
sense?
Yeah, absolutely. We're worried about there's Canadian Food Inspection Agency has ties and funding with Hendrix Genetics. It's hybrid turkeys. And so we're just starting to see all these hybrids and genetically modified animals, genetically modified plants and fields and agriculture. Um, we're really knocking at that door of a point of no return of anything being natural anymore. And we do need to become aware, and we need to see what's being fed to us, what is being given to us for our animals, and where we're getting them from. And if we lose our generational farmers that have dedicated their lives to putting nutritional food on our plates, and if we lose them, we're going to have to rely on the government to feed us. And that's a scary thought. So, we're just standing up against Canada's stamping out policy, but which we've identified as a global problem as well. And the Canadian Food Inspection Agency takes direction from the World Animal Health Organization, which then takes direction from the World Health Organization, which takes direction from the United Nations. And um, we're uncovering a lot of things here, and I think it's been very beneficial to a lot of people to have this relationship with our farm, the bigger it's gotten, and to identify that we are standing up for all farmers across Canada and in the world. Um, and we have a lot of opportunity here. If we can't stop them from culling our animals, and we have research and the potential to use our antibodies to stabilize crises like this one that we're in with H5N1, if we can't stop them here, I mean, how is your average farmer with 200 chickens or 150 head of cattle? How's anybody going to stop them? I mean, we've been under quarantine for 6 months almost.
Well, I think that part of it is they want to discourage farmers from being farmers so they can have government controlled farms. People always say, oh, just get some people to pick the crops. Farming is a skill set. You wouldn't say, oh, let's go to court and you never had a law degree.
Yeah.
People always like farming. To a lot of people who aren't in farming don't understand it's a science, it's a
Yeah.
practice, it's a lifestyle, it's a discipline. It's not just, some people can't even keep a house plant alive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And that's a majority of the population. So farming is an individual skill set. They're trying to discourage people. We have it happening here in California, where most of our family farms are now owned by Monsanto and major chemical corporations. But children don't want to stay on the farm anymore because they see how their parents are struggling. And farming used
Yeah.
to be the mainstay of a majority of Canada and the United States 75 years ago, 50 years ago. And these were like industries that generational people decided to go into. Do you see it affecting the younger people in Canada, worried about getting degrees in animal husbandry and farming and all those kind of things? Do you think that it's affecting the youth?
Oh, sorry. There's a squirrel here now. Just he's like yelling and yelling. Um, oh boy. Yeah, absolutely. It has. There's a discouragement because now that we're seeing that they're, if they were going to go into their generational farm of their father or their mother, and they were going to be taking over that was going to be, their future. And now we're seeing that the parents are getting out of it, or that their animals have been culled and the parents aren't getting back into it, and now the farm is gone, or they have to sell the farm just to stay, for the future. And we're seeing a lot of that, and it's very sad and very scary that something so beautiful, and these and farmers like ourselves, you dedicate your lives. It's hard work, it's not easy work, and it's and we're just, yeah, we're seeing it's with the experts, the farmers are the experts in their industry. We're not being taken into consideration to be part of the discussions that need to be had at the tables of the organizations that are leading the charge of this attack on farmers. And we need a new table, and the table has to be just the farmers talking on how to support each other.
Well, you see farmers all over the world rebelling, from the ones in South Africa. They're being
Yeah.
literally airplaned out to other countries because they're being murdered and taken over. And the people in South Africa, this happened. I worked a lot with people that were also from Rhodesia. Now it's called Zimbabwe again. But when there was a mass famine, when all the white farmers left and went to South Africa, a lot of them are Australia, when that happened in, say, like the 80s. And now that they're being driven out of South Africa, and because communism is really who's funding this whole activity down there, communism is about culling the population. That's part of their agenda, to
Yeah.
cull
Yeah.
everybody who wouldn't revolt. So they know that when they drive all these farmers out, there's going to be another famine like there was in the 1990s when Mandela took over and all the farmers left. So it's a much more devious plan. You can see in Holland that supplies a lot of the food supply for Europe. And
Yeah.
their farmers are having these issues, and they're pushing back and writing on their main cities. But it's also a part of what's going on in the Ukraine, because the Ukraine is the breadbasket of Europe. And where is all the food going to come from if BlackRock takes over the Ukraine and puts in all of these GMO kind of farms? So you can literally see their plan is being executed in countries that don't have as strong as pushback as the rest of us do. This is happening right now. So it's not a theory and it's not an idea. And you're
And that's what I love about this. This is a fantastic opportunity to use this interview to be able to hopefully share it amongst the Canadians and really start to see the things that maybe we should be doing more research on, and how we should be waking up faster. But I know that Christine Anderson said, the faster we're waking up, the faster they're pushing their agendas, because they know that that window is closing. But I still want to say that I have hope that we can wake up faster than they can move. And there's changes that we can all make that will allow us to claim back what I think we're on the brink of losing.
That's great advice. And I believe that too. That's why I do my show. And I know
Mhm.
that's why you're leading this effort because we believe there's more good people in the world than there are bad, but
There
also
is. Yeah, we
good.
just need to be the brighter light. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, we
Exactly.
just need to be the
Exactly.
brighter light. Yeah.
And we have to understand that the people are the power. And we've been convinced that all of these ruling entities around the world, they own us, they control us. They do not. And
No.
there's billions more of us. There's millions of them. We can take them down. But unfortunately, Canada is the target because you are also on the border of the United States, which is one of the last places for liberty. They can criticize it all as much, but there's people dying every day to get here. So there's obviously something good about it. You don't see anybody trying to break into communist China right now.
No.
If communism was such a wonderful thing, then why are
Yeah.
people leaving in droves? You have to put aside all the rhetoric and just look and see for yourself what's really going on in the world.
Yeah. There's a lot to be learned here. We're in the thick of the fight right now. We are waiting for another a judgment right now from the courts. We went in for another emergency stay order and an appeal and the right to test our animals so that we can just do our own testing. So we're just sitting here waiting for that. We have created a website if people want to just read through what we've been going through as well. Sometimes it's easier, and it's saveourostriches.com. And there's a great opportunity just to look back at some of the interviews and things that we've had to do in the past 6 months. We are standing up. It's for all farmers across the world. This is affecting us all. We're trying to set a precedence here. And the global awareness, the international awareness has been humbling and super um, inspiring. It's just to see that everybody can come together. Some of the nicest messages and the biggest stuff that we have comes from the US that people are phoning or the podcasts and more of the awareness and is coming from the US. And that's just been, yeah, it's been very wonderful just to see how far the reach that this has gotten. So that's the only reason we're here is honestly, it's public opinion and the voice of the people and the awareness of the situation of how big this is. Yeah.
All
They
right.
thought,
Well,
yeah,
yeah. Did you want to add anything else or any other message or words of encouragement to some other farmers that are out?
absolutely. Anywhere, if you are a farmer going through something similar as from us, you could be cattle, but maybe it's a different disease, but dealing with something to do with the eradication of your whole herd or flock, and you want to share your testimony or story of what you've gone through and how it's affected people. Sorry, someone's out. Um, and if you want to share your stories with us, please get in touch with us you can go to saveourostriches.com. You can email us from there. You can find me on Facebook, Katie Positny, and follow me there. Um,
Did you want to
share
spell
your testimony. What's that? Sorry.
Did you want to spell your last name? So
Sure. Yes. Sorry. Positny, Pasitney.
perfect.
Thank you. I'm sorry. We're on a farm now. The dog is barking.
It's okay. My Apple computer pretty much kind of puts it all out, but it sounds like you have the support of your dog, and he really liked this podcast, and that
Yes, he
girl
did.
really liked your podcast too. It couldn't stop talking about it, so it's out spreading squirrel news. So
Yeah.
even our animal friends are listening to how we're helping
Yeah.
them.
But
And
definitely reach out. And I think with all of our testimony and the stories together, we can start to really put something in order where even it can support more and more farmers. We need to just all come together and collaborate.
okay. Well, thank you for having us today and coming on our show. I think this is going to be really interesting for my viewers. As always, we want you to do your own research and come to your own conclusions. Thank you for coming on today.
Thank you, Simone.
Our presentations are always made in hopes that never again will the truth be lost in translation. Thank you for listening. This is Katie and Simone signing off for today.